The way AI is becoming woven into our daily tech interactions is frankly astonishing. It's accelerating at a pace that's, well, hard to keep up with.
It really is.
So today we're doing a deep dive into some of the most significant recent shifts in the AI world.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a really interesting set of developments to explore today. We'll be looking closely at how Google is evolving AI within its search experience, the new AI-powered tools Shopify is rolling out for online sellers,
Right.
Amazon's experiment with AI audio summaries for products, and the arrival of Mistral's fresh AI model designed specifically for coding tasks.
Okay, so our goal today is to cut through the headlines, get to the heart of what these announcements truly mean and the kind of impact they might have on how we actually do things.
Right. This isn't just a rundown of tech news. It's about trying to understand the bigger picture here.
Absolutely. Okay, let's unpack this, starting with Google and how they're changing search with AI. What's happening there?
Well, Google is now rolling out its AI mode in the US. And you should think of this as the next phase following their initial launch of AI overviews.
Oh, yes, AI overviews. I remember some of the early stories. Some, let's say, interesting answers.
That's one way to put it. You might recall some of those where the AI offered responses that were, well, unexpected. The pizza glue suggestion is probably the most memorable example of those, early learning moments.
Oh, yeah, the internet definitely had a field day with that one. But, even with those initial stumbles, Google's reporting some pretty big usage numbers.
They are. They're saying around 1.5 billion monthly users for AI overviews.
Wow, 1.5 billion. That suggests a real interest from people in getting information this way, even while the technology is still, improving.
It does indeed. It shows significant user interest in AI-driven info, even while the tech is, still being refined. Now, AI mode, it takes this further. It's specifically engineered to handle more complex questions that have multiple parts, maybe require follow-ups. This really positions Google to compete more directly with some of those newer AI-powered search engines like Perplexity and OpenAI.
So AI mode is basically Google's next-gen AI search, designed for tougher questions, multiple steps, follow-ups.
Exactly. It moves beyond just simple summaries to allow for a more interactive search process.
So the message is kind of, we're not just giving quick answers. We can actually have more in-depth conversation to really nail your query.
That's the idea.
And a key feature seems to be this deep search capability. Can you tell us a bit more about how that works?
Okay, so what's fascinating here is the approach deep search takes with these complex questions. Instead of just a few standard search queries, it can kick off potentially hundreds of them.
Hundreds.
Yeah, potentially hundreds. It analyzes all that resulting information and then puts together a comprehensive report for you, complete with citations, and it does this within minutes.
Wow. Think of the time that could save on serious research.
Exactly. And this shift, from just ranking links to actually generating answers could fundamentally change the whole SEO landscape. Businesses might need to rethink things beyond just standard website optimization.
Right. Goodbye to dozens of open browser tabs. Google mentioned examples like comparing prices for big appliances or even looking into summer camp options. That sounds incredibly practical.
Very practical.
And then there's the more visual side with the try it on feature for clothing. So beyond just getting deeper info, Google's also exploring more interactive visual ways for us to engage.
Precisely. And this is where AI starts creating some really interesting links between the physical and digital worlds. You upload a photo, and you can see a simulation of yourself wearing the item.
How realistic is it, though?
Well, the AI's ability to understand 3D shapes and how different fabrics behave, how they drape and stretch, that's key to making it feel realistic. And they seem to be getting pretty good at it.
Okay. And it's not just about seeing yourself in the clothes, right? They're also talking about a future shopping tool, one that could actually buy stuff for you.
They are, yeah. A tool that could make purchases on your behalf once an item hits your target price. That's definitely moving AI into a more active role in our transactions.
It is, though. It's important to note the user still clicks the final button, right? A buy for me command or something.
That's right, yes. It highlights that ongoing balance we need between AI automation and, user control.
Good point. And what's powering all this?
So underneath all of this, both the AI overviews and this new AI mode, they're powered by a custom version of Gemini 2.5.
Gemini 2.5.
And the features we're seeing in AI mode will eventually just get integrated into AI overviews. It's all part of a unified strategy for AI search.
And a custom version just means it's specially trained for these search tasks.
Exactly. Optimized specifically for what they need it to do here.
Gotcha. And it's not solely focused on shopping, is it? Google is also looking at how AI can handle complex data, like in sports and finance.
Yes, absolutely. That example they gave of comparing the Phillies and White Sox's win percentages with on-the-fly visualizations, that's pretty compelling.
Yeah, imagine just instantly seeing a chart comparing win rates over the last 5 years.
Right. That kind of immediate data analysis, shown visually, can give you insights much faster than digging through tables of data yourself. It connects to the bigger picture of making complex information just much more accessible.
And for more local, kind of everyday needs, there's this Project Mariner integration, focusing on restaurants, events.
Yeah, finding affordable concert tickets without having to search, 10 different websites, that definitely sounds appealing.
It really does. It speaks to AI's potential as a sort of personal assistant, streamlining those time-consuming research tasks we all do.
Exactly. And then we have Search Live, which feels like a pretty big leap forward from just visual search.
Okay, explain Search Live. This is where your phone's camera becomes like a real-time Q&A system.
Pretty much, yeah. It goes beyond what Google Lens can do now, allowing interactive video and audio conversations based on what your camera sees. It sounds very much like what they showed with Project Astra.
Right, that conversational AI assistant layered onto your view of the world.
It does, and having that back and forth real-time interaction based on what you're literally looking at through your phone, that could be transformative for all sorts of daily tasks. Navigating a new city, identifying plants, you name it.
Okay, one last thing on Google. They're also talking about more personalized search results by connecting your Google apps, starting with Gmail.
Yes. The example was getting event recommendations based on your confirmed travel dates from Gmail. It shows the potential advantages clearly.
But I can also see why some people might pause there. Privacy concerns.
That's a really important point to bring up. While the potential for super relevant personalized info is significant, so are the privacy considerations. Google is stressing user control here. They're saying you can connect or disconnect your apps whenever you want, but it definitely raises an important question for you as the user. Where do you draw that line between getting more convenience and the privacy of your personal data?
Definitely something for everyone listening to think about. All right, let's shift gears. We're going to dive into the world of e-commerce now and the latest AI tools coming from Shopify. It sounds like they're really focused on making it easier for anyone to build and run an online store.
That's exactly their aim, yeah. The new AI tools Shopify announced at their edition launch, they're all about lowering the barriers to entry and empowering merchants with AI help at every step.
So what are some examples?
Well, the AI store builder is a big one. Just imagine describing your brand with a single prompt, something simple like tennis gear and stylish athleisure, for instance. And the AI can generate a fully functional storefront, pretty much ready to launch.
Whoa, okay, that sounds amazing for just getting started. But how much can you really customize those AI-generated storefronts? Is there a risk of everything looking kind of the same, generic?
That's a fair question. But it seems like it's meant as a foundation. They also introduced this new Horizon theme, which has built-in AI design help, and these things called theme blocks for customization without needing code.
Theme blocks, like pre-made sections.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Pre-designed website components. And what's particularly interesting is how they're putting AI right into the design workflow itself. The Horizon theme lets merchants make design tweaks really intuitively.
And the theme blocks can be customized with AI.
That's right. So say you want a specific banner, maybe with certain text and some animation, you can just describe what you want or even upload an inspiration image and the AI will generate the code for you.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And they're also integrating AI for image generation directly within the platform too.
So it's not just the initial setup. AI is there to help with ongoing branding, customization, even if you're not a coder or designer.
Exactly. And Sidekick, their AI commerce assistant, that got a big upgrade too.
Sidekick.
Yeah.
What's new there?
Well, it can now have voice conversations with you.
Voice chat with your e-commerce assistant.
Yep. The example they gave was asking Sidekick about tariffs and it directing you straight to the right guide. It shows how it can give quick, easy access to important info.
Andy.
And it also has screen sharing now for navigation help, which is probably really useful if you're maybe less familiar with the platform. Sidekick's available in the mobile app too, and apparently its user numbers have grown significantly since the wider rollout.
It really sounds like Shopify is making a big bet on AI to streamline the whole e-commerce journey for their merchants.
It does, and it's interesting to note The connection to CEO Toby Lütke's memo suggesting AI could potentially help them keep a leaner workforce?
Right, you start to see how AI is really influencing business operations strategy.
Indeed. Now, maybe we can turn our attention to Amazon. They're exploring AI-powered audio summaries for products. This feels like another, innovative use of AI to improve how we shop.
Audio summaries. Okay, this is intriguing. So instead of just reading descriptions and reviews,
You can tap a Hear the Highlights button, and you get a short audio summary delivered by these quote-unquote AI-powered shopping experts.
AI shopping experts, huh? What do they talk about?
Well, what's clever is the format. Amazon's aiming for a conversational sort of discussion-style delivery. It covers key product features, what customers are actually saying in reviews, and info pulled from the web.
And the goal is?
The goal is basically to make researching products faster, maybe more engaging, and definitely more convenient, especially if you're, say, multitasking or listening on the go.
Makes sense, like for products where you usually need to do a bit more digging before deciding.
Exactly. It seems designed for those more considered purchases. It's currently in a limited test phase for some U.S. customers, but you can see the potential for a wider rollout.
And the tech behind it, is it just reading text aloud?
It's a bit more sophisticated. They're using large language models, LLMs, to generate actual scripts based on the reviews and web data, and then those scripts are converted into the audio clips.
Okay. And this fits into Amazon's other AI shopping tools, like Rufus.
Yeah, it seems to fit into their broader suite of AI tools like Rufus and Interests. It suggests a larger strategy of weaving AI into different parts of the customer journey. And if you connect this to, say, Google's Notebook LM audio overviews, you see a bit of a trend towards using short-form AI audio as an efficient way to get information.
It's almost like having a mini podcast episode just for that product, giving you the key info in an easy-to-listen-to format.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, finally, let's talk about Mistral's new AI model, DevStrawl. This one is specifically built for coding. Feels like a big deal for developers.
It certainly is. Mistral, working with All Hands AI, released DevStrawl under a very open Apache 2.0 license.
Apache 2.0. What does that mean practically?
It means it can be used for commercial purposes without restrictions. That's a really significant point, a big differentiator from some other models.
Okay, and they're making some performance claims too.
They are. They claim it outperforms other open source models on key coding benchmarks, like SW Bench Verified. Now, benchmarks are useful, but of course, the real test is how these models perform in actual coding scenarios across different languages.
Sure, benchmarks aren't everything, but what can it do?
The capabilities they're highlighting are quite impressive. Things like using tools to explore code bases, editing multiple files at once, and even powering software engineering agents.
Software engineering agents, like automating coding tasks.
Essentially, yes. It's designed to integrate with existing code agent frameworks like OpenHands or SWE Agent, providing the sort of intelligent core for more automated coding workflows.
And is it hard to run? Does it need massive servers?
Actually, what's particularly interesting is its relatively modest computational needs. They say it can run on a single high-end consumer GPU, like an NVIDIA RTX 4090, or even a Mac with 32 GB of RAM.
Okay, so local deployment is actually feasible.
Much more feasible, yeah. That accessibility could be a real game changer for individual developers or smaller teams.
And this comes at a time when AI coding assistants are just exploding in popularity, right?
Exactly. We've seen so much activity here recently. JetBrains, Google, Windsurf, OpenAI, lots of companies are releasing models.
Of course, AI coding isn't perfect yet.
No, definitely not. There are still limitations. The potential for introducing security flaws or just plain errors is a real concern. But the potential productivity boost is huge, and that's what's driving adoption. That stat about 76% of devs using or planning to use AI tools really underlines that.
Now, Mistral had another coding model before this, CodeStrawl. How is DevStrawl different?
Right, they did. The key difference was the licensing. CodeStral's license restricted commercial use, which limited its use in businesses. DevStral's open license fixes that, making it much more appealing for, well, a wider range of uses.
All right, DevStrawl is ready for prime time.
Mistral is calling it a research preview, but it's available now on places like Hugging Face and through their API. They've even put out pricing for the API usage.
Pricing, how does that work?
It's based on tokens, which roughly correspond to words or parts of words. It's like 0.10 cents per million input tokens and 1.3 cents per million output tokens. It gives you an idea of the cost for using it at scale.
Got it. And Mistral isn't stopping there, you mentioned?
No, they're already working on an even larger agentic coding model, supposedly coming soon. DevStrawl, while powerful, is kind of on the smaller side parameter-wise compared to some giants out there.
Can you just briefly explain parameters again? Why do they matter?
Sure. Parameters are basically the variables the AI uses to learn and make predictions. Generally, more parameters mean a model can learn more complex patterns and do more sophisticated things. DevStrawl has 24 billion parameters, which is a lot, but
But bigger ones exist, and they're building one.
exactly. And it's worth remembering Mistral is pretty new, founded just in 2023, but they've become a major player fast, got significant funding, launched several AI products already. Destral is actually their third launch just this month alone.
Wow. That pace of innovation is really something. So
Yeah.
let's just recap our deep dive for today. We've seen Google making big moves, evolving its AI search with AI mode, aiming to be a more comprehensive conversational assistant.
Right. Then Shopify giving e-commerce merchants a whole toolkit of AI features to streamline everything from setup to customer interaction.
Then Amazon experimenting with AI audio summaries as a new way for us shoppers to quickly grasp product details.
Mm-hmm. And finally, Mistral, making waves in the developer world with their open-source DevStrawl AI model for coding.
Across all these different areas, the common theme seems to be AI saving us time, boosting efficiency, whether it's research, shopping, building a business, or writing software.
Exactly. That's the thread connecting all these advancements.
It's all evolving so incredibly quickly. It really makes you stop and consider the broader implications of all this rapid AI progress. Like, what new possibilities might open up as these technologies get even more deeply woven into our daily lives or workflows?
The big question.
It definitely is. It's something for you, the listener, to think about. How might these tools reshape your own interactions with information, with commerce, and just with the technology that surrounds us all?